So now let's discuss chapter 17 of Katzing's board reviews, and this chapter is all about vasoactive peptides. So vasoactive peptides are autocoids with significant actions on vascular smooth muscle as well as other tissues. They include vasoconstrictors, vasodilators, and peptides with mixed effects. As the name indicates, vasoactive. So vasodilator or vasoconstrictor or peptides with mixed effects. So antagonists of these peptides or the enzymes that produce them have useful clinical properties. So coming to the classification in brief, so vasoactive peptides, they can be classified into vasoconstrictors such as angiotensin 2. So angio refers to the blood vessels, so angio blood vessels, and tensin, so it tenses the blood vessel, so it constricts the blood vessel. Okay, so it constricts the blood vessel. And then we have endothelins and neuropeptide Y. So all of these, they are vasoconstrictors. And then we have mixed substance P, okay, and also we have vasodilators such as bradykinin, vasodilator, and then atrial natriuretic peptides, so ANP, vasodilator, VIP, and also BNP and CGRP. Coming to the antagonists of peptides that have useful properties, so we have renin, so aliskiren or aliskiren, and ACE, so captopril, so angiotensin, iosartan, vasopressin, conivaptan, or sorry, it's losartan, angiotensin, losartan, vasopressin, conivaptan, endothelin, bosentan, vasopeptidase, omapatrilat, and substance P, aprepitant. Okay, so how do you remember this? So renin renin ran, okay, so where into the tried to run, okay, so renin ran, and he thought you run into the into the sky, right? You don't fly, you run in the sky. So renin was wrong, but still renin, so ran, okay, so aliskiren, so aliskiren, so ren, okay, ren in the name itself, so alskiren, and ace, okay, so remove the a, remove the c, you have c here, okay, remove the e and then remove the a, okay, so c, and put a again, okay, captopril. Next, angiotensin, you have losartan, okay, losartan, angiotensin, losartan, okay. So angiotensin, if you are tensed, be like Tarzan, okay. So be like Tarzan, losartan, so losartan. Vasopressin, so conivaptan, okay. Vasopressin, okay. Angiotensin, losartan, so vasopressin, conivaptan, okay. Angiotensin, losartan, vasopressin, VC, vice chancellor, right? So conivaptan. Endothelin, bosentan, okay. So EB. C, okay, VC. So vasopressin, conivaptan, endothelin, bosentan, okay, all the tans. And vasopeptidase, you have omapatrilat, and substance P, you have aprepitant, prepitant, P, prepitant, so aprepitant. In addition to their actions on smooth muscle, many vasoactive peptides also function as neurotransmitters and local and systemic hormones. The most important vasoactive peptides include angiotensin, bradykinin, natriuretic peptides, calcitonin, gene-related peptides, CGRP, endothelins, neuropeptide Y or NPY, and substance P, and vasointestinal peptide VIP. Many other endogenous peptides with very important actions such as insulin, glucagon, opioid peptides have less or no direct vascular smooth muscle effects. So vasoactive peptide probably act on cell surface receptors. Most act via G protein coupled receptors and cause the production of well-known second messengers. A few may even open ion channels. So coming to angiotensin and its antagonists. So angiotensin, it tenses or constricts the blood vessel, so it's a vasoconstrictor. So source and distribution, angiotensin 1 is produced from circulating angiotensinogen by the enzyme renin. Okay, so renin is produced from prorenin, a precursor peptide released from the JG apparatus of the kidney, so juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney. So let us just write all this down. So circulating angiotensinogen, okay, from it what is produced? Angiotensin 1. So what is the enzyme that causes this? Renin. Okay, single N. So it is present in kidney, which also has single N in the spelling. So renin. Renin again is produced from prorenin. Okay, and this prorenin is released by juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney. So not only kidney but also other tissues. So prorenin may itself act on a receptor, but this action is poorly understood. So angiotensin 1 is an inactive decapeptide. Okay, so 10 amino acids, and it is converted into angiotensin 2, an active octapeptide, by angiotensin converting enzyme ACE. Okay, also known as peptidyl dipeptidase or kininase 2. Okay, peptidyl dipeptidase or kininase 2. So angiotensin 2, the active form of the peptide, is rapidly degraded by peptidases. So this flowchart is very important for us to understand this entire concept. So circulating angiotensinogen is converted into angiotensin 1 by renin, which again is derived from prorenin, which is secreted by juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney. This angiotensin 1 is a decapeptide. Okay, it is converted by angiotensin converting enzyme ACE, which is also known as peptidyl dipeptidase or kininase 2, into angiotensin 2, the active form. Always when an inactive enzyme is converted into an active enzyme, there is cleavage, alright, in the body. So 10 amino acids, you are cleaving 2 away, so you only have 8 amino acids in the final active angiotensin 2 molecule. Coming to the effects and clinical role, angiotensin 2 is a potent arteriolar vasoconstrictor and stimulant of aldosterone release. So it is a potent arteriolar constrictor and stimulant of aldosterone release. It also inhibits the release of renin. Conversely, renin release is stimulated, a compensatory response by vasodilators. Angiotensin 2 directly increases peripheral vascular resistance through aldosterone, causes renal sodium retention. Okay, so we have two major importances when talking about the renin angiotensin system. So one is its renal manifestations. So you have the GFR and retention of sodium and all that, and then you also have cardiac manifestations. So long-term regulation of arterial blood pressure. So angiotensin 2 inhibits the release of renin. Okay, it inhibits the release of renin. Whereas conversely, when renin release is stimulated as a compensatory response by vasodilators. Okay, so angiotensin 2 directly increases peripheral vascular resistance, because when you constrict something, you increase the resistance, and through aldosterone this causes sodium retention. Okay, renal sodium retention. It also facilitates the release of norepinephrine from adrenergic nerve endings via presynaptic heteroreceptor action. So one thing you need to remember, so angiotensin is a vasoconstrictor. All these effects are mediated by the angiotensin 81 receptor, a GQ coupled receptor. The 82 receptor appears to mediate vasodilation via nitric oxide and is important during fetal development, especially renal development. Okay, so angiotensin 2 is a vasodilator. As a result, inhibitors of ANG2 are teratogenic and contraindicated in pregnancy, because it is important in fetal development, especially in renal development. So angiotensin 2 is mitogenic and also plays a role in cardiac remodeling. ANG2 is no longer used for clinical indications. Its major significance is an endogenous pathophysiological mediator in some cases of hypertension, such as high renin hypertension and in heart failure. Regardless of renin levels, angiotensin 2 antagonists have demonstrated clinical benefits in hypertension and heart failure. Therefore, angiotensin 2 antagonists are of considerable clinical importance. So before that, let's discuss just some high yield terms. So kinins include a family of vasoactive peptides associated with tissue injury and inflammation, for example, bradykinin. And natriuretic peptides are a family of peptides synthesized in brain, heart, and other tissues. They have vasodilator as well as natriuretic effects. Neuropeptides, they're peptides with prominent roles as neurotransmitters or modulators. Many also have smooth muscle effects, potent ones. Peptidases are a family of enzymes that activate or inactivate peptides by hydrolysis. For example, angiotensin converting enzyme dipeptidyl peptidase and neural endopeptidase. And tachykinins are a group of 3 potent neuropeptide substance P, neurokinin A, and neurokinin B. Coming to angiotensin antagonists, Two types of antagonists are available. So ACE inhibitors, captopril, enalapril, and others are important orally active non-peptide agents for the treatment of hypertension and heart failure. So angiotensin 2 receptor blockers such as losartan, valsartan, and others. So we talked about this angiotensin. Okay, angiotensin. If your vessels are too tensed, tell them to become big like sartan. So losartan. Okay, and also valsartan. So they are inhibitors at the angiotensin 2-AT1 receptor, which causes vasoconstriction, GQ mediated, and are also orally active non-peptides. So block of angiotensin's effects by either of these drug types is often accompanied by a compensatory increase in renin and angiotensin 1. Okay. So while ACE inhibitors increase the circulating levels of bradykinin, ARBs lack this property and are less likely to cause cough. Aliskiren, okay, an orally active renin inhibitor, okay, ran, so aliskiren, ran in the sky, so sky, aliskiren, an orally active renin inhibitor reduces angiotensin 1 as well as angiotensin 2 and is approved for use in systemic hypertension. Okay, so coming to some important vasoactive peptides and their properties, we have angiotensin 2. So what it does is it increases IP3 and DAG via the AT1GQ protein coupled receptor. So it constricts the arterioles, increases aldosterone secretion, and antagonists are clinically important. Next, bradykinin, it's a vasodilator. Again, IP3 DAG increases cyclic AMP and NO release also. So it dilates the arterioles. Bradykinin vasodilator, it increases capillary permeability and stimulates sensory nerve endings. And then natriuretic peptides, you have ANP and BNP. So they increase cyclic GMP levels via the ANP-A receptors. They dilate vessels, inhibit aldosterone secretion and effects, and increase glomerular filtration. Okay. And then you have CGRP, calcitonin gene related peptides. So it's an extremely potent vasodilator. It causes hypotension and reflex tachycardia implicated in migraine. And then you have endothelins. So IP3 DAG increase via G pre-coupled ETA and ETB receptors synthesized in vascular endothelium. Constrict most vessels may play a pathophysiological role in pulmonary hypertension. So what is that? Endothelins. Neuropeptide Y causes vasoconstriction and stimulates the heart. Effects are mediated in part by IP3. Substance P and neurokinins, they act on neurokinin receptors, NK123. So they dilate the arterioles, contract the veins, and intestinal and bronchial. Smooth muscle cause diuresis. Substance P is a transmitter in sensory pain neurons. So vasoactive intestinal peptide or VIP increases CAMP via G protein coupled receptors VPAC1 and VPAC2. So dilates vessels, relaxes bronchi and intestinal smooth muscle. So it's an important point to remember. Substance P and neurokinins, they dilate the arterioles, contract the veins. So vasopeptidase inhibitors, the vasopeptidase enzymes include neural endopeptidase 2411, okay, not 2411, sorry, 2411. That's the class of the enzyme, okay. So neprilysin and ACE, so a class of drugs that block both enzymes in clinical trials, and these drugs such as omapatrilat show considerable efficacy in hypertension and heart failure, okay. So what do these vasopeptidase inhibitors include? They include neural endopeptidase, neprilysin and ACE, okay. So the enzymes include neural endopeptidase 2411 and also ACE, okay. ACE inhibitors and neural endopeptidase inhibitors, a class of drugs that block both enzymes in clinical trials, and these drugs omapatrilat show considerable efficacy in hypertension as well as heart failure, okay. So anything related to the cardiovascular system, so cardio, heart failure, vascular, hypertension, blood pressure, okay. So they are useful. They reduce the concentration of angiotensin 2 and increase the concentration of natriuretic peptides. So unfortunately these drugs also cause angioedema in a significant number of patients and have not been approved for clinical use. In contrast, the selective neprilysin inhibitor sacubitril, okay, sacubitril, which is an inhibitor of neprilysin, is used in combination with the ARB valsartan, angiotensin receptor blocker valsartan, and this combination appears safer and has recently been approved for the treatment of chronic heart failure. So coming to bradykinin, It is one of the several vasodilator kinins produced from kininogen by a family of enzymes, the kallikreins. Bradykinin is rapidly degraded by various peptidases, including ACE. So coming to the effects and clinical role, it acts through at least two receptors, B1 and B2, and causes the production of IP3, inositol triphosphate, diacylglycerol DAG, cyclic adenosine monophosphate, nitric oxide, and prostaglandins in tissues. It is one of the most potent vasodilators known. The peptide is involved in inflammation and causes edema, vasodilation, and the pain when released or injected into the tissue. So bradykinin can be found in saliva and may play a role in stimulating its secretion. Bradykinin plays an important causative role in hereditary angioedema and some other types of angioedema. So ecallantide, a parenteral kallikrein inhibitor, and icatibant, a parenteral bradykinin B2 receptor antagonist, are approved for use in angioedema. Bradykinin synthesis can be inhibited by the human plasma derivatives Cinryze and Berinert. Okay, Cinryze and Berinert. Okay, ecallantide and icatibant. They are approved for use in hereditary angioedema. Although it has no therapeutic application, bradykinin may play a beneficial role in the antihypertensive action of ACE inhibitors, as previously noted. Okay, so what are they? Ecallantide. Okay, let's see. Bradykinin is found in the saliva. All right. So it is found in the saliva. Saliva is a liquid. So liquid, if you think about a liquid, you can think about oceans, wherein there are tides in the ocean. So ecallantide, call on tide. Okay, and also catibant. Okay, so if you look at the ocean, you want to visit the beach during sunrise. So Cinryze, okay, and Berinert. Coming to natriuretic peptides. Natriuretic peptides, atrial natriuretic peptide and brain natriuretic peptide ANP and BMP are synthesized and stored in the cardiac atria of mammals. So BNP has also been isolated from brain tissue. So both ANP and BNP are synthesized in the atria. But BNP has also been isolated from brain tissue. They are released from the atria in response to distension of the chambers. So whenever your atria distend, so ANP and BNP are released. So a similar peptide, C-type natriuretic peptide, has been isolated from other tissues. Urodilate in a peptide similar to ANP synthesized in the kidney. So urine, kidney, urodilatin. BNP appears to be the most important of these peptides. Coming to the effects and clinical role, natriuretic peptides activate guanylyl cyclase in many tissues via membrane-spanning enzyme receptor. So they act as vasodilators as well as natriuretic sodium excretion enhancing agents. Their renal action includes increased glomerular filtration. So ANP increases GFR, decreased proximal tubular reabsorption, and inhibitory effects on renin secretion. Okay, inhibits renin. So the peptides also inhibit the actions of angiotensin II and aldosterone. Although they lack positive inotropic action, endogenous natriuretic peptides may play an important compensatory role in congestive heart failure by limiting sodium retention. Blood levels of endogenous BNP have been shown to correlate with the severity of heart failure and can be used as a diagnostic marker. BNP administered as a drug has shown some benefit in the treatment of acute severe heart failure and is currently available for clinical use as nesiritide. This drug is approved for intravenous administration in acute heart failure but has very significant toxicity. Coming to endothelins, they are peptide vasoconstrictors formed in and released by endothelial cells in blood vessels. Endothelins appear to function as autocrine and paracrine hormones in the vasculature. Three endothelin peptides, ET1, 2, and 3, with minor variations in amino acid sequence have been identified in humans. Two receptors, ETA and ETB, have been identified, both of which are G protein coupled to their effectors. The ETA receptor appears to be responsible for the vasoconstriction produced by endothelins. Endothelins are much more potent than norepinephrine as vasoconstrictors and have a relatively long-lasting effect. The peptides also stimulate the heart, increase natriuretic peptide release, activate smooth muscle proliferation, and reduce glomerular filtration rate. The peptides may be involved in causing some forms of systemic hypertension, pulmonary hypertension, and other cardiovascular disorders. ETA antagonists available for the treatment of pulmonary hypertension include bosentan and ambrisentan. Okay, ETA antagonist, TA antagonist, TANs. Okay, So macitentan or macitentan, a newer dual inhibitor of both endothelin receptors, is also available for use in pulmonary hypertension. So pulmonary hypertension, think of endothelin. Okay. So riociguat or riociguat is an oral activator of soluble guanylyl cyclase, not an ET receptor antagonist, that is also approved for use in pulmonary hypertension. So coming to VIP, substance P, CGRP and NPY. See, VIP is an extremely potent vasodilator, but probably more important as a neurotransmitter. It is found in the CNS and PNS and in the GIT. So its actions are mediated by GS coupled receptors and increased cyclic AMP. So no clinical applications has been found for this peptide. The neurokinins, also known as tachykinins, include substance P, neurokinin A and neurokinin B. They act at NK1, NK2 and NK3 receptors in the CNS and the periphery. Substance P has mixed vascular effects. It's a potent arteriolar vasodilator and a potent stimulant of veins and intestinal and airway smooth muscle. So what it does is it dilates the arteries and contracts both veins and intestinal and airway smooth muscle. The peptide may also function as a local hormone in the gastrointestinal tract. Highest concentrations of substance P are found in parts of the nervous system that contain neurons observing pain. Okay, you learned about substance P and its path and its role in pain modulation in Guyton Hall last year, pain physiology. So, capsaicin, the hot component of chili peppers, releases substance P from its stores and nerve endings and depletes the peptide. So, capsaicin has been approved for topical use on arthritic joints and for post-herpetic neuralgia. Neurokinins appear to be involved in certain CNS conditions, including depression and nausea and vomiting. Aprepitant, okay, aprepitant is an oral antagonist at NK1 receptors and it is approved for use in chemotherapy induced nausea and vomiting. Fosaprepitant is a prodrug for aprepitant that is used parenterally. CGRP is found along with calcitonin in high concentrations in the thyroid, but also present in most smooth muscle tissues. It is a very potent vasodilator. The presence of CGRP in smooth muscle suggests a function as a co-transmitter in autonomic nerve endings. CGRP is the most potent hypotensive agent discovered to date and causes reflex tachycardia. Some evidence suggests that CGRP is involved in migraine headache. Currently, there is no clinical application for this peptide. However, an oral CGRP antagonist, if available, would be of great interest for the treatment of migraine. Parenteral CGRP antagonists are in clinical trials. So, NPY or neuropeptide Y is a potent vasoconstrictor peptide that also stimulates the heart. NPY is found in the CNS and peripheral nerves and it is commonly localized as a co-transmitter in adrenergic nerve endings. In experimental animals, NPY administered in the CNS stimulates feeding and causes hypotension and hypothermia. Peripheral administration causes positive chronotropic and inotropic effects in the heart and hypertension. Several receptor subtypes have been identified, but neither antagonists nor agonists of this peptide have found clinical application. Coming to AVP, vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone, and ADH. So, active vasopeptides. So, this peptide is synthesized in the hypothalamus and secreted by the posterior pituitary, as indicated by its names: arginine vasopressin. Okay, arginine vasopressin. So, arginine vasopressin. That is what AVP stands for. AVP has pressor effects in the vasculature and antidiuretic effect in the kidney. Okay. The antidiuretic effect is discussed in chapter 15. So the pressor effects are mediated by V1A receptors. V1B receptors are involved in ACTH release. V2 receptors are responsible for the antidiuretic action. So you can remember it like this. Antidiuretic hormone is also called vasopressin, right? So vasopressin. Look at the name. The name itself indicates vessel presses, okay? So name itself indicates that. So V1A receptors 1, okay, it's all about the name. So constrictor activity. So 1 is all about the constrictor activity, so 2 must be about the diuretic action. However, 1B is about its effects on ACTH release. Get it? So 1A receptors are GQ coupled membrane receptors and generate IP3 and increased intracellular calcium. AVP is sometimes used in combination with norepinephrine in the treatment of septic shock. Selective V1A antagonists are in clinical trials, and conivaptan, a V1A and V2 antagonist, is approved for use in hyponatremia. A selective V2 antagonist, tolvaptan, is also approved for use in hyponatremia. Okay, you can discuss the differences between ACE inhibitors and AT1 receptor blockers in the context of peptides. Okay, so let's do that now. So both ACE inhibitors and AT1 receptor blockers, such as captopril ACE inhibitor and losartan valsartan AT1 receptor blockers, reduce the effects of the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system and thereby reduce blood pressure. Both result in a compensatory increase in the release of renin and angiotensin 1. A major difference between the two types of drugs results from the fact that ACE inhibitors increase the circulating levels of bradykinin because bradykinin is normally inactivated by ACE. The increase in bradykinin contributes to the hypotensive action of ACE inhibitors but is also probably responsible for the high incidence of cough associated with ACE inhibitor use. The cough is believed to result from prostaglandins synthesized as a result of increased bradykinin. AT1 receptor blockers have a lower incidence of cough. However, both groups of drugs interfere with renal development in the fetus and are contraindicated in pregnancy. So,